Welcome back to another fun episode in the Karen Cave. And you're probably wondering, what in the world are we going to do with this big watermelon? Well, summertime is never more fun than having a nice cold watermelon, slicing it open, having it at the beach or around the pool or at a picnic or at a family gathering. But so much goes to waste with a watermelon, and especially your watermelon rinds. So today's video is going to be on how to pickle the watermelon rinds for a sweet, delicious, yes, so delicious treat. So come with me and help me make some pickled watermelon rinds. The ingredients for this pickled recipe are pretty simple. They're kind of like a lot of your pickling recipes. We're going to use the canning and pickling salt. This is Heinz pickling and vinegar base, and it's already got your salt added to it. So if you ever see this, you might want to pick up some of this because it does substitute the salt that you're going to need here. Some maraschino cherries, some whole cloves, some cinnamon, and lemon. Can you imagine that combination? The cinnamon and the cloves. I love it. Anyhow, so we're going to get started by cutting up our watermelon and using some of these rinds that we just had from a watermelon that we had yesterday. And we want to get about 7 cups, which is about 2 pounds to start with. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut those and chop those up. So you want to make sure that you measure them so we can measure the right amount of either pickling salt or vinegar with pickling salt in it. And we're going to let those stand for about 24 to 48 hours overnight before we actually get into the canning of the other goods with it. So let's get started cutting up our watermelon. So as we begin to chop up our watermelon rinds, there's a couple things that you want to make sure. You want to make sure that you completely take off all of the pink as much as you can down to the white part. So you want to discard that part. And then you also want to take off the green part, the green shell around it. So all you're going to be left with is that actual white part. You don't want the skin part on it. It's very tough, and that would not be part of the recipe that we're going to pickle. So you're going to be left with basically the white part of the rind, and you'll want to cut that up into different cubes, and then again put it into your cups, and we're going to measure out about 7 cups of that. So again, just scraping off and making sure that you're getting off as much of the pink as you can. If there's a little bit on there, it's not going to hurt it, but you want to get off as much as you can, and then taking the rind off. I'm using my my paring knife again, the Cuisinart, and I have that down in my description as well. So, and we'll continue to do this until we get all of the rinds cut up, and we get about 7 cups that we'd like to start with. If you have more than that, again, we can take the recipe and we can double it. Okay, so we've got all of our watermelon rind cut up to equals 7 cups. And for our purposes today, we are going to have pickling salt and some water as a brine, and that we're going to let that sit overnight. So all you need to do for now is, after you've cut up all of your watermelon rind, is to sprinkle your pickling salt, that's 1/4 of a cup, over the cubed up rind, and add 3 cups of water over it. If the 3 cups of water does not cover all of your rinds, which this did do, you can add a little bit more water to it. So we could add just a smidgen of extra water to make sure. And then you'll cover this up and put it in the refrigerator and let it sit overnight. Welcome back. So from yesterday of taking our watermelon rinds and chopping them up and getting them measured out to about 7 cups or 2 pounds, and then we added our pickling salt to it and some water to cover them really good, and we let them stand overnight. So now comes the really good part, and it's going to smell so delicious, because we're going to take our frying pan, we're going to put some sugar and some vinegar and some cloves and some cinnamon in it, And then we're gonna add that to some water with some lemon and some maraschino cherries, and it's gonna be beautiful. So let's get started putting our sauce to our watermelon rinds and getting those canned. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take those watermelon rinds and take them over to the sink and put them in a colander and rinse them really well. Get that pickling salt, that mixture off of it that was sitting on it for overnight. And then we're gonna take the remaining cup of water out of the 4 cups of water that's required for the recipe and put that onto a saucepan and put the watermelon rinds in there and just let them cook very slow for about 10 minutes so they get nice and tender. And then while those are cooking, we are also going to go ahead and add our sugar and our cinnamon, our cloves, and our vinegar to our other pan over here to start making the brine. And then after we make the brine, we're going to combine that with our softened watermelon rinds, add some lemon and some maraschino cherries, and then we are going to can these. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to take our watermelon rinds and we're just going to put them into a saucepan. It's going to have to be a very big saucepan because you're just going to boil these down and just get them nice and tender. Adding that extra 1 cup of water that we had left over from the 4 cups. And just bring this to a nice, not a roaring, you don't want it boiling. You just want to bring it to a simmer. So we're going to go ahead and light up the chamber stove and put this on there. Turn the flame down just a little bit because this stove really cooks amazing. And I just have so much fun cooking on my grandma's stove, and I know she would be so happy that I'm using it in this way to do a lot of canning because she enjoyed canning. So while this is cooking, I'm also going to go ahead and mix up the other pan with all the other ingredients with the cloves and everything, and then we'll put that on the stove and get that cooking as well. Okay, as you can see, we've got the watermelon rinds cooking here in the background, and while those are cooking, I have mixed together the 1 cup of vinegar and our cloves and our cinnamon and our sugar, and we're going to cook this for about 10 minutes and let it get a little bit thick, and then we'll turn the fire off. So it's all coming together now, and it's starting. You can start to smell the cinnamon and the cloves, which is smelling so delicious. Okay, so our watermelon rinds look really good. They have cooked here for about 20 minutes, and they're nice and tender. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to our syrup mixture here with the cinnamon and the cloves and the sugar and the vinegar. And then I'm going to add those slices of lemon and the maraschino cherries to it. And then we're going to let this just cook for about 30 minutes until these watermelon rinds become basically translucent in the cooking. So we're going to go ahead and add about half a lemon sliced nice and thin to the top of this, and then we're going to add 5 maraschino cherries that we have cut up, not diced up, but we've just cut up in half and stuff, because if you cut them up too much, the cherries they fall apart, and then they won't look really pretty in your mixture when you can them. So we're going to go ahead again and turn the stove on and get this cooking, and we'll be back in about 30 minutes. Again, you want your watermelon rinds to become fairly translucent in cooking them, and then we'll be ready to can them all up. Okay, our watermelon rinds are starting to look really translucent here. Almost looks like we've got ice cubes floating in steam. It's looking really good, and I'll tell you, the smell is amazing. We've got those cloves coming out of it with the lemon and the cinnamon, smelling great. So what we'll do here in a couple minutes, when our 30 minutes is up, is that we'll start to put it in some jars, and we will do a hot water bath on those pint jars for 5 minutes. And we will have some beautiful pickled watermelon rind. This is going to be wonderful around the holidays. You can use it on different types of dishes and relishes that you can serve your guests. So getting ready for the holidays early with pickled watermelon rinds. Okay, we've got our watermelon rind all jarred up and ready for the holiday season, and I know it's going to be a little bit sweeter this year. This relish really turned out well, and it smells amazing. The cloves and the cinnamon and the lemon have all really come together, and it's just a beautiful relish. I kept a little bit out just for myself, just to have, and you can do that and just keep it in your refrigerator. It's good in your refrigerator for a couple of months. And if you want to jar it up and can it, it's good on your shelf for about a year. So go ahead and enjoy this recipe. I hope you'll make it, and the next time that you don't have anything to do with an old watermelon, you've got a reason now to make some watermelon rind relish. I hope you've liked my video. I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my page and keep coming back for some more exciting recipes. Thanks for joining me in the Karen Cave.